Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your rainy Monday afternoon to spend some time with us to learn a little bit about this year's LASA grant program. I've been in communication with some of you, which is really great. So I'm happy to see some faces here that I recognize. We have a lot of information to go over that is kind of, I don't want to use the word dense, so Josh, stop me when I use the wrong word, but it's definitely a lot of information. So we'll review most of it. This deck will be available to you at the end, obviously, along with the recording, but I really want to leave time for question and answers that maybe Josh and I can answer, or at least we'll have the next step that will try to help you find an answer to your question. So before we get started, anybody have anything they'd like to know? No?
Who are you, Maggie? For those who
who
don't
am I? Oh, you know, I'm sorry, I'm sending a note back to Ernest. I'm Maggie Longo. I am working with the Rhode Island Food Policy Council, helping during this LASA grant program, providing technical assistance. I spend a lot of time working with small business, particularly in the food sector, in my other sort of kind of day job. And I'm really excited to have this opportunity to work with folks as we navigate the program and the new system this year, because it is an online system. And Josh, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Josh Daly. I'm the Associate Director at the Rhode Island Food Policy Council. I worked side by side with Maggie at the Small Business Development Center before that. So as Maggie said, she has lots of experience working with food businesses, farms, fisheries businesses. So you're in good hands with Maggie. Just want to highlight, so I know Maggie has said a number of you have already connected with her, but there's this webinar to go through the application, but then there's also one-on-one no cost assistance for preparing your application. So don't be a stranger, reach out, we're here for you to support you in this process. So Maggie, you want to take it away?
Sure thing. And I'll reiterate what Josh just said, and I encourage you to sign up for assistance from me, because even if we don't need one-on-one time, then you'll be in the loop as soon as I learn new things or have some best practices, which could be helpful. Okay, so we're here, right? The Local Agricultural and Seafood Act Grant Program for 2022. Just a reminder, applications are due on Wednesday, November 30th. I'm encouraging everyone to submit prior to Thanksgiving, though, because we don't, want to get lost in the holiday rush. So we're going to review, these are the main areas that we're going to review during our seminar today: the priorities for the program, eligibility, assistance from me, both one-on-one and in other ways, what the awards process looks like, and what the administration requirements if you are a recipient of the award, and then what the review process and how they're scored, which I think a lot of people have questions about. So the 2022 funding priorities, and Josh, I'm going to ask for a little help with this because it's a lot of information to get through. But by mandate, right, the LASA program is meant to support the entry, growth, and/or sustainability of small or beginning agricultural producers, including aquaculture and fishers in the state. This year, there's a particular emphasis, I shouldn't say particular because it's always been a part of the program, but there's an additional amplification of supporting BIPOC businesses, because you're all a business at some point, right? Or one way or the other. We want to support the development of new marketing, promotion, and sales through distribution channels. That's, a funny niche, and we can talk about that later. We want to think about new products, including value add from something you already grow, or how do you get to new markets? Can we foster cooperatives, partnerships, or collaborations amongst Rhode Island agricultural producers and fishers, and organizations that support them? So some of the nonprofits that I see here on the call today. How do we foster and build capacity for markets, connecting all these people with the food insecure communities and in particular help to offer culturally appropriate food. So it's not all radishes and greens, right? Protect the future of the land for producers. We don't want the land going into big development, and assist with farm safety improvements, particularly HACCP planning. So
Just
who's-
a second, Maggie, I would just say, as you're reading through these priorities, I would think about your project, your application in those terms. How am I going to frame what it is that I'm doing based on those priorities? So Maggie's given folks lots of help already in thinking through, when they're saying priorities, that's how you're going to get scored by the folks who are reading through your application. So
Right.
pay close attention to those priorities.
Right. So eligibility. What are eligible activities? And this goes back again to some of the priorities, and some of them are a direct requote of what the priorities are, right? Basically, how do we get Rhode Islanders to eat local products? How do we support that through marketing and outreach, right? Enhance the economic competitive of Rhode Island grown products and local seafood. Provide financial and technical assistance and or support to organizations, that's for you nonprofits in the group, right? Or groups of producers, and perform other activities necessary. It's all really vague sounding, but some of the advice I've been giving folks is, you're all a business, think in your 3 buckets. What am I? What am I going to do? How does it improve what I'm doing? How does it improve access? And then how do I measure success? So ineligible products are really pretty straightforward, right? If they don't demonstrate one of the program purposes, that's obviously not fundable. It is not a reimbursement grant. So that's something to be particularly aware of. I know that some of the other programs out there are reimbursement grants. However, LASA is not. You cannot be out of compliance with any federal, state, or local regulations. If you've been a previous recipient, you also must be in compliance there. So if you haven't completed your midterm report for the last go round, it's time to get it done. I know you recently received an invitation to do that. If you're a recipient from previous years and you haven't completed your final report, you're going to need to get that buttoned up as well, right? The rest of it really is sort of self-explanatory. There's no travel. You don't go to a conference. You're not paying scholarships. There's no general operating funds or a capital campaign, right? And I think that's about it. I don't know, Josh, if you wanted to add anything else at this point.
No, I think that's good. I think what you want to show is outside of these ineligible, fair amount of flexibility in what you can do. Want it towards those, the project goals and purposes of the program.
Right. So now this is all the nitty gritty. This is what people really want to know, right? How to apply. So who is eligible? For-profit, farmers, fishers, and producer groups, nonprofit organizations that support those groups. You must be based in the state of Rhode Island. And then there's also a value assigned to making certain that the funds are available all across the state, right? So it's very important that there's diversity in the geographic diversity in the application pool. And then the capital grant part, and maybe Josh, because this is my first year with it, he might have a little more insight on this, is only available to small and beginning farmers, right, or groups.
That's it.
Okay. How much can I apply for? The maximum award is $20,000. That doesn't mean that there's only going to be $35,000, $20,000 grants. That's the maximum you can apply for. And you would defend that in your budget, which is part of what would happen in the portal. And then you can only use your overhead and administrative costs are limited to just 10% of the total budget. So the application is live. Those of you who are already on my emailing list know that, and I've sent you a direct link. It is available on the DEM website under grant opportunities. And I think we're going to have it on our LASA page as well. We're in the process of completing the updates there. So this year, instead of a paper application, it is now a application through the eCivis portal, which the state of Rhode Island uses to manage all of its grant and bid opportunities. It's not super elegant, I have to say, but once you get in it, it's pretty easy to navigate. And I think that some folks may have some difficulty here because it is new, and I'm particularly savvy with those things. So if you need me, I'm here to help you navigate. Oops, I lost my mouse. So what other technical assistance is available? This will be available on the DEM and on our websites. Previous years' question and answer sessions will be available on our website. And then you can have technical assistance one-on-one from me. And if you haven't registered, you'll have that jump link. You click on it now, you'll go to it, or it will also be in the deck. We also are doing a handful of live events. We're doing one on the 2nd with the Northern Conservation District in Johnston, and we are finding a location for one on the 5th with all the conservation districts someplace centrally in the state. Awards and administration. Allie's here with us, and I just want to thank you for all your great images. So the process, and I don't think we have this directly here in our deck, but application portal is open through the end of November. People will begin to be notified that the award beginning in April of 2023. And they hope to have that buttoned up by the end of May of 2023. Once you have received notification that you've received an award, the funds are distributed once you've signed the contract. Projects are up to 15 months in duration, and final funds have to be used before June of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. So there are, back to this reporting, right? We just want to talk about the reports. It's very important that the data is collected because it helps inform funding in upcoming years. It also helps measure success. So there will be 2 times that you'll be required to submit report, a midterm and a final. That's some of where you'll validate what you've been spending, because according to your budget, and what kind of progress that you're making. So the funds are administered by DEM. Grant applications are reviewed by the LASA Grant Program Advisory Committee, which is made up of your peer set, plus DEM, and I think advisors from the Food Policy Council. And it's chaired by the chief of the Division of Agriculture here in Rhode Island, right? So the committee members are appointed by DEM, and they represent people, organizations, and individuals all across the state. And if you have any kind of relationship with an applicant, you automatically recuse yourself so that nobody can feel that somebody might have it wired, as they say. Reviewing and scoring. So the do or die for application is midnight on November 30th of 2020. Again, I really encourage you to get it done before Thanksgiving, because I would hate for you to get it written and forget to push the button during the holidays. They are only accepting applications through the eCivis portal this year. So there's no opportunity to submit a handwritten application. You have to complete it. So you're automatically disqualified if you don't complete the application and push the button, right? And we've been having a lot of conversation recently about people who may need support in a language other than English. So if someone in your group has that need, please reach out to us, and we're going to try to see if we can help in some way. The portal is only in English, I will say.
What I will say is that if you reach out, or if anyone reaches out and needs, we're going to be translating some of these materials. and getting them out there. And if anyone would prefer translated materials or assistance, in another language, we do have resources to make that available. So don't let the barrier.
Please. And I do know that, Ben, I think you're here, that the team at Southside Community Land Trust is looking to hold 2 in-person events. And he's asking folks that are participating to sign up, and that there could be some translation services available there as well. So it's a scoring rubric, and the rubric is available on both our website and the DEM's website. So it's a total of, how many points is it? It's 50, or is it, it's 50 points, right, total? So
That's
it's
correct.
it's weighted as follows. Is it technically feasible based on background? And is the applicant a for-profit, farm, fishery, or other food business? 20 points are assigned to that. So if some of that's about your history, and you're going to have the opportunity to tell a little bit of your story in the application portal. And as you talk about what you want to accomplish, is it possible? What's the outcome? That's worth 10 points. Again, to be really clear on how do you measure success? Regulatory, zoning, and legal information. Is it required to get some zoning or some variances or some licenses before you could participate in the program if you receive the funding? To have that buttoned up gives you some extra points. And then the budget. So how are the monies being spent? And that's the second other biggest piece. That's worth 15 points. Oh, already? We're superstars, Josh.
I'm going to stop the recording here.